to have Mr. Lang here to talk about what happened in Estonia. Last 4th of July, we saw a denial of service attack on South Korea in the United States. Fortunately, we responded very well to it. But the issue is on that one was, it was not to fish for information or steal, but rather to do harm. It was the intent behind the attack, and they were testing the United States to see how we would respond to this attack. In response to these hearings, we also saw that the agencies were not coordinating with each other. So those that had the offensive capability, primarily the NSA and the military, were not coordinating with the agency charged with the defensive capability, that being the Department of Homeland Security. So we formed this commission to make recommendations to the next president, the 44th president, and General Radke was a co-chair. Howard Schmidt was on that commission. We had the top experts in the country. And one of the best, I think, recommendations out of that was to create in the White House, to elevate this issue to the White House level, to create a cybersecurity coordinator. Now, I would still argue, I think this position, and Howard Schmidt is now in that position. I still think that position needs a little more authority to go into NSA and tell them how they need to run things, and go into the Department of Homeland Security and the military. But the point is, he is the point man really for the nation on cybersecurity. So when we talk about international agreements, he becomes a point person on that as well. Of course, the State Department, working through the United Nations, it's in our best interest, as 30 countries out there, over 30 countries now, are developing cyber warfare capability. It is time for the nations to come together and discuss this issue. When you have rogue nations out there like Iran that we know are starting to get this capability, that becomes a very scary thought. And I'll close soon, but I wanted to make a couple points. The Aurora project was a classified program that was declassified, demonstrated that with the click of a mouse we could blow up power grids. Everything is tied to the internet, therefore everything is vulnerable. Power grids, the infrastructures, financial institutions. It's almost like when we created the nuclear bomb, the issue of proliferation became a big issue. Now that this technology is out there, the idea of it being proliferated to other countries that would want to do us harm is a very serious issue. We're very good at the offensive capability in the United States. We're not as good in the defensive capability. But I think we have an opportunity to bring the friendly nations together to work together to better defend our networks and our systems, including the private sector as well. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. And Mr. Pillow.
Yeah. Thank you, General. Well, what are the main diplomatic options? We all suffer the same attacks. When you look at the strategy all over the world, we probably have a more or less similar strategy, even if we have different culture, different way of governance, different way of organization. We probably have the same strategy. But until recently, to be honest with you, cooperation in these areas was not a given. It was a topic considered as, let's say, sensitive topics. And if you accept from Latin representative of Latin countries, I will change a little a very famous Latin sentence. Si vis pacem para pacem. If you want to prepare, if you want peace, you need to prepare peace. And develop international cooperation is one of the key issues. Is one of the key issues of the new French strategy. We want to develop a network of reliable and trusty international partners to face these very difficult issues. There is a huge amount of subject of cooperation. Let's give three, for example, subject. Point of contact. In some countries, there are point of contact in case of attack, but in the most part of the countries all over the world, there is no point of contact. We need to exchange, under certain conditions, of course, information of vulnerabilities, threats, attacks. We should conduct joint cyber defense exercise to be sure to be prepared if bad things happen. So this forum is a unique opportunity, probably the first opportunity I see all over the world to have this level of discussion and this type of exchange, and I hope that will be successful.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the panel members responding to that general question that was specifically aimed at the subject of our panel today. And the response from the audience has been overwhelming. I've been reading your questions up here, and I have many to choose from, but I've selected several now for our panel to address, as you might want to. If you don't need to respond if you don't have to. The first question, and I might add that all the mics are active up here. Because, Howard, you're all right. We do look for little green lights in our lives today. If seeing no light, we push until we get something. The first question from our audience is, should the International Court be involved with cybersecurity crimes that flow across borders? Anyone like to address that? We have several former and current attorneys that are thinking carefully about this. Yes. Yes, Mr. Lang.
Well, this is a tricky question. I'd be very cautious to say yes to this question. If we say that the International Court has a jurisdiction, then we come to the point that we treat malactions in cyber world already as a state of war. And we should still consider actions in cyberspace by bad guys to be criminality. And this should be treated really by national courts. We shouldn't exclude the possibility that in the future we'll have some kind of a legal framework establishing a specialized court. But I'd be cautious on getting the Hague jurisdiction on that.
Thank you. Yes, Patrick.
Yes. One of the reasons why it's probably difficult to answer to that question is there is a lot of norms, rules, regulation all over the world at different levels. Local level, international level, around defense, national security, criminal activities. The fact is, most of the time, we don't have any studies if these rules, norms, laws, regulations are reliable with cybersecurity. One of the work we have to do is to look at all this regulation and to see if it's reliable or not. Can we use that for cybersecurity question? And to be honest, most of the time, we don't have the answer to that question. It's the work we have in front of us, I think.
Thank you. Any other comments? Congressman Call.
That's a great question. I think most sovereign nations are a little loath to subject themselves to the International Court. However, it really gets to the core issue of what is an act of warfare. And that was one of the issues we debated on the Commission. It's very difficult to come to terms with because, for instance, the July 4th attack, we know the bots herder that hit the botnets, but we haven't still to this day determined where the bot herder came from. So you have to find the actual computer where it emanated the attack, and then you have to determine, was this a state-sponsored action, or was it just some criminal action? And to determine that is very difficult. You need an intelligence. But it begs the question, if in the future, say in the United States, we have a major denial of service attack shutting down the power grid, and we get intelligence as to where that attack came from, is that an act of warfare, and what is